Have you ever looked in the mirror and felt like the person staring back at you isn't the person you want to be? Have you ever wondered why, despite your efforts, life doesn't seem to bend in your favor, or why dreams you once held close now feel distant, almost unreachable? The truth is, life doesn't just happen to us. We are the architects of our own reality. Every choice we make, every habit we follow, every thought we entertain is shaping the person we are becoming. And yet, too many of us drift through life as if someone else is holding the reins, blaming circumstances, blaming other people, blaming luck for our setbacks. What if I told you that the power to change, the power to rebuild, has always been within your hands? What if you realized that the life you've imagined, the version of yourself you've dreamed of becoming, isn't something you wait for, it's something you build, brick by brick, decision by decision, habit by habit? Today, we're going to explore how you can take the raw material of your life, the experiences, the choices, the setbacks, and reshape yourself into someone stronger, wiser, and unstoppable. It starts not tomorrow, not next week, but with the moment you decide to take ownership and begin the process of rebuilding yourself. Self-assessment is the foundation of any genuine transformation. It begins with the courage to look at yourself in a mirror, not the physical reflection, but the reflection of your mind, your habits, and the choices that have brought you to this moment. Many people spend their lives moving from one action to another without ever stopping to ask, where am I really? Am I living intentionally, or am I just drifting? Self-assessment is the practice of answering that question honestly and with clarity. It is the willingness to examine the state of your inner world as meticulously as you might examine your finances or career. When you stop and take stock of your life, you begin to notice patterns. You start seeing how your daily routines, your relationships, and even the way you think have contributed to your current reality. Some of these patterns may be empowering, the kind that build momentum and confidence. Others may be draining, subtle habits that chip away at your energy, your motivation, and your potential. The key is not to judge yourself harshly for what you find, but to recognize it as a starting point. You cannot rebuild what you have not first understood. Self-assessment requires honesty, and honesty can be uncomfortable. Many avoid it because they fear what they might discover. Perhaps you realize you have been tolerating mediocrity when you could be striving for excellence. Perhaps you recognize that excuses have quietly replaced action, or that distractions have become your companions more often than discipline. This discomfort, however, is not a signal to stop. It is the signal that you are ready for growth. When you face the truth about where you are, you gain clarity on where you need to go. Without that clarity, any effort to rebuild yourself is like setting out on a journey without a map. You may move, but you will wander. One powerful aspect of self-assessment is observing your habits. Habits are the building blocks of life. They shape the outcomes you experience, often more than your intentions or desires. By examining your daily routines, you begin to understand what fuels your success and what undermines it. Are you feeding your mind with knowledge and inspiration, or are you indulging in distractions that leave you feeling empty? Are you surrounding yourself with people who challenge you to grow, or are you stuck in circles that reinforce comfort and complacency? These questions, though simple, have enormous power. Self-assessment is the process of answering them truthfully, then deciding which habits to nurture and which to let go. Self-assessment also extends to your mindset. Your thoughts and beliefs are like the soil in which your actions take root. If the soil is fertile, your actions flourish. If it is barren or filled with limiting beliefs, even your best efforts will struggle. Observing your thought patterns, recognizing negative self-talk, and identifying fears that have quietly held you back are all part of the process. This is not about self-criticism. It is about understanding. Only when you truly understand the mental blocks and outdated beliefs that govern your behavior can you begin the work of changing them. Another critical dimension of self-assessment is evaluating your goals and values. Are your actions aligned with what truly matters to you, or are you pursuing objectives shaped by others' expectations or fleeting trends? Misalignment creates frustration and wasted energy. By stepping back and honestly assessing whether your life reflects your authentic priorities, you gain the power to redirect your efforts toward what will genuinely fulfill you. This is the moment when rebuilding yourself transforms from a vague aspiration into a purposeful, intentional process. Self-assessment is not a one-time event. It is a continuous practice. Life evolves, circumstances change, and so must your understanding of yourself. Regular reflection allows you to measure progress, adjust strategies, and recognize the small victories that accumulate into meaningful transformation. It trains you to respond to challenges with awareness rather than reaction, to see opportunities rather than obstacles, and to cultivate a life that is consciously designed rather than passively endured. By committing to self-assessment, you take the first real step toward rebuilding yourself. You acknowledge where you are, recognize the forces that have shaped you, and prepare to take deliberate action toward the person you aspire to become. It is the act of facing yourself fully, with courage and clarity, and choosing to take responsibility for the life that lies ahead. Responsibility is the cornerstone of personal transformation, the principle that separates those who live intentionally from those who drift through life blaming circumstances, other people, or luck for the results they experience. To rebuild yourself, you must first fully embrace the reality that your life is the product of your choices, not of the conditions around you. Too often, people look outward for explanations. If only my job were better. If only my family supported me. If only luck had been on my side. While these factors may influence your life, they do not determine it. The moment you shift the focus inward, from external excuses to personal accountability, you gain control over your future in a way nothing else can. Taking responsibility is not about self-blame or guilt. It is about empowerment. It is the recognition that no matter what has happened in the past, the power to act, to change, and to rebuild lies within you. Accepting responsibility begins with your mindset. Many people unconsciously give away their power by thinking of themselves as victims of circumstance. They believe that their outcomes are dictated by external forces, and as a result, they wait for someone else to fix their problems. But the truth is that waiting never rebuilds anything. Life does not hand opportunity to the passive. It rewards those who step forward and own their actions. Responsibility requires a shift from, "Why is this happening to me?" to, "What can I do about this?" It is the ability to see every challenge not as a barrier, but as a test of your creativity, resilience, and determination. Taking responsibility also means owning your decisions, both big and small. Every choice you make shapes your life, from the habits you cultivate each day to the relationships you nurture and the work you commit to. There are no insignificant choices, and each one carries consequences, positive or negative. When you stop blaming external circumstances for failures and instead analyze your role in the outcome, you gain valuable insight. This self-honesty allows you to identify patterns that have held you back, recognize mistakes without shame, and take deliberate steps to correct course. Responsibility is the lens through which learning occurs, because without acknowledging your part in every result, growth is impossible. Furthermore, embracing responsibility requires courage. It is easier to point fingers or rationalize failure than it is to face the truth about your contribution to a situation. It is easier to convince yourself that you are powerless than to accept that the power has always been in your hands. Courage in this sense is not about fearlessness. It is about choosing to act despite fear, to make difficult decisions, and to acknowledge where you have fallen short without letting it define you. Every person who has rebuilt themselves has had to confront uncomfortable truths, make hard choices, and accept that the only person responsible for their success or failure is themselves. Responsibility also extends to your emotional life. It is the practice of owning your reactions and moods instead of blaming others for how you feel. When someone's words anger you, when a situation disappoints you, when life frustrates you, the responsible approach is to pause and ask, how am I choosing to respond? What can I control in this moment? By doing so, you reclaim power that is often surrendered to external circumstances. You begin to see that emotional mastery is an essential part of rebuilding yourself, because uncontrolled emotions can sabotage even the most well-intentioned actions. Living responsibly means committing to your goals and following through, regardless of obstacles. It means showing up for yourself when no one else does. It means understanding that success is rarely about luck and more about consistent, deliberate action over time. Responsibility transforms your relationship with failure because it reframes setbacks as feedback rather than punishment. When you own your outcomes, you stop seeing failure as a reflection of fate or unfair circumstances and instead see it as a tool for growth, a signal of where adjustment and effort are required. Finally, responsibility is deeply liberating. It removes the illusion of dependency on others or on circumstance. When you embrace it fully, you realize that no matter the situation you were born into, no matter the mistakes you've made, the potential for change is always within your grasp. Responsibility gives you the power to rebuild yourself, brick by brick, choice by choice, day by day. because it places the control of your life firmly in your hands and reminds you that the life you want is not granted. It is earned through ownership, action, and unwavering commitment. A growth mindset is the invisible engine behind personal transformation, the perspective that turns challenges into opportunities and setbacks into lessons. It is the understanding that your abilities, intelligence, and potential are not fixed traits handed to you at birth, but are qualities that can be developed through effort, practice, and persistence. Those who embrace a growth mindset do not see failure as a verdict on their character or capacity. They see it as feedback, a guide that reveals where they need to adjust, learn, and improve. In rebuilding yourself, adopting a growth mindset is essential because it creates a fertile ground for change and allows you to approach life with curiosity, resilience, and courage. Without it, even the most well-laid plans can falter because fear of failure, self-doubt, or rigid thinking can prevent you from taking the necessary actions. Developing a growth mindset begins with the way you interpret challenges. Life is not designed to be easy, and obstacles are inevitable. People with a fixed mindset often view difficulties as insurmountable walls that define their limits. They avoid risks, shy away from new experiences, and see setbacks as proof that they are not capable. In contrast, a growth mindset frames challenges as opportunities to expand skills, acquire knowledge, and discover hidden strengths. When faced with a problem, it asks, "What can I learn from this?" rather than, "Why is this happening to me?" This subtle shift in perspective transforms obstacles from threats into catalysts for progress. Rebuilding yourself requires this lens because the path is rarely smooth, and the willingness to see lessons in adversity determines whether you grow stronger or remain stagnant. Another critical aspect of a growth mindset is the willingness to embrace feedback. Feedback can be uncomfortable, even painful, because it often highlights gaps between your current performance and your potential. Yet, those who seek and accept feedback without defensiveness accelerate their development. Feedback is not a judgment on who you are. It is information about what you can do differently to move closer to your goals. By listening, reflecting, and adjusting based on input from others, you create a feedback loop that continuously refines your skills, behaviors, and mindset. In the process of rebuilding yourself, this ability to learn from both criticism and success is invaluable because it allows you to make informed choices and avoid repeating mistakes that can derail progress. A growth mindset also requires persistence and patience. Change is rarely instantaneous, and the results of effort are often delayed. Those with a fixed mindset may give up when they do not see immediate improvement, assuming their efforts are futile. Those with a growth mindset understand that mastery, transformation, and achievement are the products of sustained effort over time. They focus on progress, not perfection, and celebrate incremental improvements that accumulate into meaningful change. Rebuilding yourself is a marathon, not a sprint, and maintaining a growth mindset ensures that each small step, each adjustment, and each experiment adds to the larger structure of personal development. Equally important is the relationship between a growth mindset and curiosity. Curiosity fuels exploration and innovation. People who adopt this mindset ask questions, seek knowledge, and experiment with new approaches, even when the outcome is uncertain. They understand that mistakes are not endpoints, but rather experiments that reveal what works and what doesn't. This openness allows you to continuously expand your capabilities, learn new skills, and uncover opportunities that a fixed mindset would never recognize. When rebuilding yourself, curiosity prevents stagnation and opens doors to possibilities that may have seemed out of reach. A growth mindset also nurtures resilience in the face of emotional setbacks. Life inevitably includes rejection, disappointment, and unexpected loss. Those who cling to a fixed mindset often internalize these experiences as evidence of their inadequacy, which can erode confidence and motivation. A growth mindset, however, separates identity from performance. It recognizes that failure is not a reflection of who you are, but a signal of where effort and adaptation are required. This perspective allows you to recover more quickly, maintain focus on long-term objectives, and continue taking the actions necessary to rebuild yourself, even when circumstances are difficult. Finally, adopting a growth mindset is empowering because it shifts control back to you. Instead of attributing success to luck or innate talent, you recognize that your choices, effort, and learning determine your outcomes. This mindset creates a sense of agency, where every challenge becomes an opportunity to strengthen your skills and expand your potential. Rebuilding yourself becomes not a matter of waiting for the right circumstances, but a process of intentional, ongoing development that you actively shape, guided by curiosity, resilience, and a relentless commitment to growth. Small, consistent actions are the invisible force that drives lasting change, the quiet habits that over time compound into extraordinary results. Many people underestimate the power of these small steps, believing that transformation requires dramatic breakthroughs or sudden leaps of willpower. In reality, the process of rebuilding yourself is less about grand gestures and more about the steady, disciplined choices you make each day. Just as a river carves through rock not by force, but by persistent flow, your small, repeated actions shape the trajectory of your life in ways that are invisible in the moment but undeniable over months and years. When you focus on consistency rather than intensity or perfection, you create momentum that carries you through challenges and setbacks. It is this momentum, built one step at a time, that sustains long-term growth and allows you to achieve outcomes that once seemed impossible. The essence of small, consistent actions lies in their cumulative effect. A single decision, one day of effort, or a single attempt rarely produces visible results, which is why many give up prematurely. People often abandon goals because they look at the immediate impact instead of the long-term pattern. A habit of reading 10 pages each day may seem insignificant in the moment, but over a year, it becomes hundreds of hours of learning, knowledge, and perspective that can fundamentally change your mind and your life. Similarly, saving a small amount of money every week may feel trivial, yet over time it becomes a financial foundation that offers freedom and security. Small, consistent actions are the building blocks of any meaningful achievement, and their true power is only visible when you look back months or years later and realize how far you have come. Discipline is the backbone of small, consistent actions. Discipline is the ability to choose what is important over what is easy, to act in alignment with your long-term goals, even when motivation wanes. Motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes with circumstances, moods, and energy levels. Consistency driven by discipline does not depend on fleeting feelings. It is the commitment to show up day after day, whether you feel inspired or not. Rebuilding yourself requires this steady application of effort, because the gaps between intention and action are where potential is lost. When you embrace discipline, you stop waiting for the perfect moment or the perfect conditions. You act now consistently, understanding that every small step compounds into a stronger, more capable version of yourself. Another vital aspect of small, consistent actions is clarity of purpose. Without a clear goal or vision, actions, no matter how disciplined, can scatter in multiple directions, diluting their effect. Each small action should be intentional, aligned with the larger objective you are pursuing. Writing one paragraph a day builds a book over time. Practicing a skill for 15 minutes a day builds mastery over months. Reaching out to one new person each day builds relationships and networks that can change the course of your career. Intentional, repeated actions create a feedback loop where progress encourages persistence, and persistence leads to visible results, reinforcing the habit and strengthening the sense of capability. Small, consistent actions also build confidence and resilience. When you see the results of repeated effort, no matter how incremental, it proves to yourself that change is possible. Each completed task, each disciplined moment reinforces your ability to influence outcomes. It trains your mind to focus on what you can control, which in turn reduces anxiety and uncertainty. By consistently acting toward your goals, you gain a sense of mastery over your life that becomes a shield against external circumstances and internal doubt. Rebuilding yourself in this way is not dependent on luck, circumstances, or sudden inspiration. It is built on reliable, repeatable behaviors that strengthen both skill and character. Moreover, small, consistent actions create momentum. Inertia works in both directions. If you do nothing, nothing changes. But if you act even slightly, you generate a forward motion that attracts further action. Once momentum begins, progress accelerates. The initial steps may feel insignificant or exhausting, but each one compounds, creating confidence, skill, and visible results. Over time, the accumulated effect of these small steps surpasses what most people achieve with sporadic bursts of energy or grand, occasional efforts. The person who focuses on consistent, manageable actions eventually achieves more than the person who seeks immediate, dramatic change but lacks persistence. Finally, small, consistent actions teach patience, humility, and self-trust. They remind you that rebuilding yourself is a process, that meaningful change is earned over time, and that your efforts, though unseen today, will bear fruit in the future. By committing to these actions, you learn to rely on your own capacity to create change, rather than waiting for external circumstances or dramatic interventions. Each small step is a declaration that you are responsible for your life, capable of progress, and committed to becoming the person you aspire to be. The people you surround yourself with have an enormous influence on the person you become, often more than you realize. They shape your habits, your mindset, and the way you respond to challenges. If you want to rebuild yourself, it is essential to recognize that your environment and your social circle are not neutral. They are either catalysts for growth or anchors that hold you back. Most people underestimate how much their outcomes are determined not only by their own actions, but by the influences they absorb from those around them. Words, attitudes, and behaviors are contagious. If you consistently spend time with people who are negative, doubtful, or complacent, you will likely adopt similar habits, perspectives, and limitations. On the other hand, being in the company of individuals who are ambitious, disciplined, and positive creates an atmosphere where growth becomes natural and success feels attainable. Choosing the right environment requires awareness. Too often, people assume that proximity equals influence, or they stay in situations simply out of comfort or familiarity. Surrounding yourself wisely means actively assessing the people, communities, and inputs that you allow into your life. Who do you spend most of your time with? Whose opinions and perspectives matter to you and why? Are these individuals lifting you toward your goals, or are they reinforcing your fears and limitations? This evaluation is not about judging or cutting off people impulsively. It is about being deliberate in selecting the relationships and influences that nourish your growth. Rebuilding yourself demands this level of intentionality because you cannot cultivate a higher version of yourself while consistently absorbing attitudes or behaviors that pull you downward. Equally important is the concept of mentorship and role models. To rebuild yourself effectively, you must learn from those who have already walked the path you aspire to follow. Observing their habits, listening to their guidance, and modeling their behavior allows you to accelerate your own progress. The right mentors challenge you to see beyond your current limitations and provide the support and insight needed to navigate obstacles. They push you out of your comfort zone and help you understand that growth often requires stepping into discomfort. Role models are not just inspirational figures. They are tangible evidence of what is possible, showing you that the goals you set are achievable with effort, discipline, and persistence. Your environment is not limited to the people around you. It also includes the media, information, and experiences you consume. In rebuilding yourself, it is crucial to be selective about the inputs you allow. Negative news, toxic online communities, or unproductive habits of entertainment can slowly erode your energy and focus. In contrast, books that inspire, podcasts that educate, and communities that encourage accountability can elevate your thinking, broaden your perspective, and reinforce your growth mindset. The people and inputs you immerse yourself in become a mirror of the life you are building, so being intentional about them is essential. Surrounding yourself wisely also requires boundaries. Growth often demands space from relationships or influences that, while familiar, are not supportive of your transformation. Setting boundaries does not mean rejecting people unkindly. It means protecting your energy and focus so that your efforts to rebuild yourself are not diluted. Learning to say no to environments or conversations that drain your motivation, to distance yourself from those who foster negativity, and to prioritize connections that challenge and inspire you is a critical skill. These boundaries create a fertile environment where your new habits, attitudes, and goals can take root without being overshadowed by old patterns. Moreover, the people you surround yourself with influence not only what you do, but what you believe is possible. Beliefs are often formed subconsciously by repeated exposure to ideas, attitudes, and assumptions within your social sphere. If the people around you think small, doubt themselves, or avoid responsibility, those attitudes can unconsciously seep into your thinking. Conversely, being with individuals who think expansively, take ownership of their lives, and pursue excellence cultivates confidence, ambition, and clarity of purpose within you. This is why rebuilding yourself is inseparable from rebuilding your circle of influence. Finally, surrounding yourself wisely fosters accountability and resilience. Growth is rarely linear, and setbacks are inevitable. When you have people who challenge you, hold you accountable, and celebrate your progress, you are more likely to persevere and maintain consistency in your efforts. Constructive feedback, encouragement, and shared energy amplify your capacity to rebuild yourself. The right environment doesn't just make the journey easier, it shapes the very trajectory of your life, creating conditions where your potential can flourish and your goals can become reality. Vision and purpose are the compass and fuel for rebuilding yourself, the guiding light that gives direction to your actions and meaning to your effort. Without a clear vision, life becomes a series of random motions, and even disciplined actions can feel empty or misaligned. Purpose is the why behind everything you do, and vision is the picture of the life you are striving to create. Together, they provide clarity and motivation, allowing you to navigate challenges, make decisions, and persevere when the journey becomes difficult. Rebuilding yourself without vision or purpose is like constructing a house without a blueprint. You may lay bricks and paint walls, but the structure is unlikely to stand as intended, and the work may be wasted on directions that do not serve your long-term goals. Developing a vision begins with reflection and imagination. It requires asking yourself deep, meaningful questions. What kind of person do I want to become? What impact do I want to have on the people around me? How do I want to feel when I look back on my life years from now? These questions are not just abstract exercises. They are the foundation of intentional living. A clear vision acts as a magnet, pulling your thoughts, decisions, and actions toward a future that aligns with your highest aspirations. When you know where you are going, the distractions and obstacles that once seemed overwhelming take on a different character. Challenges become tests of resilience, not detours from the path, because you have a mental map that keeps you focused on the ultimate destination. Purpose is the emotional energy that sustains you when motivation wanes. Motivation is fleeting and situational, rising and falling with circumstances and moods. Purpose, however, is enduring because it is tied to meaning. When your actions are aligned with purpose, even small, difficult tasks become compelling. Working on goals that matter to you, investing in relationships that reflect your values, and taking steps that contribute to your long-term vision create a sense of fulfillment in the moment, even before external results are visible. Purpose transforms effort from a chore into a source of energy and confidence, making the process of rebuilding yourself sustainable and inspiring rather than exhausting. Vision and purpose also provide a framework for decision-making. Life is full of choices, and without clear guiding principles, it is easy to be swayed by convenience, peer pressure, or short-term gains. When you know your vision and understand your purpose, each decision can be measured against these criteria. Does this action move me closer to my goals or away from them? Does it align with my values and the person I want to become? This perspective reduces wasted effort, minimizes regret, and ensures that the energy you invest compounds in the direction of growth rather than dissipating in distractions. Rebuilding yourself becomes a series of deliberate, consistent choices that accumulate into profound transformation. Clarity of vision also fuels resilience. Rebuilding yourself is rarely smooth or linear. Setbacks, failures, and unexpected obstacles are inevitable. When challenges arise, vision provides context, reminding you why the journey matters and reinforcing your commitment. Purpose becomes a source of strength, helping you persevere when results are delayed or when the path feels uncertain. Those with a strong vision can see beyond temporary difficulties, maintaining focus on the long-term outcome, while those without vision risk being derailed by minor setbacks, losing momentum, and abandoning their efforts. Another crucial aspect is that vision and purpose inspire creativity and innovation. When you are deeply connected to your why and clear on your desired outcome, you begin to notice opportunities that others overlook. You are more willing to experiment, take calculated risks, and adapt strategies to overcome obstacles because the picture of your desired future is vivid and motivating. This proactive approach accelerates progress, enabling you to rebuild yourself in ways that are both intentional and dynamic, rather than reactive and haphazard. Vision and purpose are also contagious. They influence the people around you. When you articulate a clear vision and live in alignment with purpose, you inspire others to elevate themselves, seek improvement, and engage meaningfully. Relationships become partnerships in growth rather than sources of distraction or limitation. The environment you create around a clear vision becomes fertile ground for continued progress, accountability, and support, amplifying your ability to rebuild yourself effectively. Finally, vision and purpose anchor your identity. They provide a sense of direction and meaning that guides not just what you do but who you are becoming. Every action, habit, and choice can be filtered through this lens, ensuring that the person you are building matches the person you aspire to be. Rebuilding yourself without this anchor is like sailing in the open sea without a compass. Motion occurs, but it may not lead you anywhere meaningful. When you are driven by a clear vision and aligned with a deep purpose, every step you take, no matter how small, is part of a larger, deliberate, and profoundly transformative journey. As we come to the close of this journey together, remember this: rebuilding yourself is not about becoming someone else. It's about uncovering the best version of who you were always meant to be. It's about taking responsibility for your life, embracing growth in every challenge, acting consistently on your goals, choosing your environment wisely, and aligning every step with a clear vision and purpose. Each small action you take, every decision you make with intention, is a brick in the foundation of the life you deserve. There will be obstacles, there will be setbacks, but within each challenge lies the opportunity to learn, adapt, and rise stronger than before. So step forward with courage, take ownership of your life, and commit to the process of rebuilding yourself, because no one else can do it for you, and no moment is more powerful than now. I wish each of you the clarity to see your path, the discipline to take consistent action, and the resilience to keep moving forward no matter what. Good luck on this journey of transformation, and thank you for giving your time, your attention, and your belief in the possibility of a better, stronger, and brighter version of yourself.